Hello, everybody. Welcome to Bill Namen's Bogus Hangout. And have our guests introduce themselves. I'm going to start with Sarah because she loves to go first.
This is some kind of tradition that I didn't sign up for. Hi, everyone. My name is Zara Altair, and um, I do writing for the web.
It's a mystery often, too.
Yep,
Steve,
that too.
will you introduce yourself?
I'm Steve Grinzer with Deep SEO Conference, and Zara goes first because whether you go by her first name or her last name, she's either first or last.
Alphabetical does it. Terry?
Webmaster T or Terry Van Horn. Live in Toronto. Kind of semi-retired, but starting to get back slowly.
Doc.
I'm Doc Sheldon, also of Deep SEO Conference.
And do you do any SEO?
I'm sorry, say again?
Do you do any SEO?
I do technical.
What is technical? Is that like on page?
Yeah, basically. It's just, everything from site architecture and internal linking. It touches on external linking sometimes, schema, and I also focus on security and privacy.
Business planning?
That's something I did in an earlier life, and I haven't had occasion to touch on that often. Once in a while, when a client says they're getting ready to do something that sounds really suicidal, I might cite an anecdote. But
There's some entertainment value to your service then.
that's it.
I love working with clients doing things like business plans and SWOT tests
Yeah.
Yeah.
because it often gets them to think about those things for the first time.
Well, it's an awful lot of people since the advent of the internet that are in business that don't know squat about how to run a business.
Right.
There's an awful lot of them that have been able to survive for a decade and still don't know squat about how to run a business. They've survived in spite of themselves.
You show up every day.
Yeah.
Think that's it.
Just think how well they would have done if they'd done it right.
Yeah.
Or just gotten out of their own way, or their employees' way.
And I'm going to introduce myself. I'm Bill Slosky of SEO by the Sea, and I'm the director of SEO research for GoFish Digital. So I'm a long way from the main office. I don't mind. I'd much rather Southern California than Raleigh, North Carolina. So Terry, you had some news for us.
Yep.
Google Search Console links report shows links for new sites in 7 to 10 days.
Yeah, that was something that Barry was writing about on Search Engine Roundtable. I guess he's also got a new site and he did some tests, and yeah, they are adding now in 7 to 10 days.
I
For a
often
new site.
I often see sites pages get listed quicker than 7 to 10 days.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'll like submit a site through Search Console, and it'll often show up within a day.
Oh, like if you publish something on a site, you'll see it within a day in the new links.
Yeah,
It would be different for a new site though that really hasn't established authority and stuff, right?
so you're thinking that it has to do with an older site being around.
Yeah. that a new site would take a little bit longer as they do a little bit more.
Well, I've covered my bases a couple of ways. I've got the PubHub, SubDub, whatever plugin, and I've got Index Now, and then it pings the search engine when I add something. So it's letting Google know, hey, there's something new.
Right. Would that be when you're writing like on Search Engine Journal or another place?
Oh, I know for certain it's SEO by the sea because I put those plugins in.
Oh, okay. I think he's also talking about, though, when someone else links to your site.
When you have somebody else doing the implementation and the work.
Okay. If somebody else links to your website from theirs,
Yeah.
they're finding them quicker than they did in the past. They're putting them into that index quicker than they have in the past.
The super giant nebulous index that is part supplemental and part who knows what.
Yeah. But I'm thinking on a new website,
Yeah.
they might even be checking to see, is this guy, is he in our, don't bother with this one?
You think that's their first criteria?
Is this a guy part of the old boys club?
Yeah, a lot of people that I see yelling at John on Twitter because they can't get crawled indexed.
Yeah.
If you get crawled and you don't get indexed, guess what? Good chance your content's crap.
I was trying to help out a guy who's got a new domain that he bought. Cool domain name. And it's been like 3 months and he can't get indexed. It's like, okay, that seems unusual. So I started doing a little research and it's like, well, wait a minute. I just threw it into the Wayback Machine. And for 3 years before he bought it, there was nothing on it. But for 12 years before that, it was a series of 302 redirect affiliate sites. And it had it's like basically been burned to the ground. It's like, oh, now I know why you got it cheap. Because this website or domain name has a history of being not a great place. And I have no idea how you're going to convince Google that you're no longer that. And then I actually looked at the content on his page and went, oh, wait, you still are that. You're just doing it a different way. Never mind.
Yeah, I think if you actually were doing good content, they'd pick it up. Wouldn't really.
Probably.
Because they understand that a lot of people buy domains and don't really do the research.
Sure.
And the way they do things lately, I think they're trying to help those people. It's not like you better know what you're doing or we're not gonna play ball with you. Well,
right.
Now it seems the other way around.
What's sad is it's a really cool domain name that could be used for a lot of neat stuff. But the stuff he's actually using it for, it's like, you say you had a website called, Blue Granite, domain name, bluegranite.com, but you're selling mattress affiliate links. So those two things, not only do they not go together, but now you're also pushing this direction with the affiliate side of things. It's like, people stopped doing these comparison affiliate sites a long time ago, especially in the mattress niche.
But
that's also getting hit by the review update right now, probably, too.
Probably.
You do have domain names that don't seem like they'd sell what they sell.
Yeah.
How many Amazons does Amazon sell?
Not many.
How many Yahoos does Yahoo sell?
Lots. Good inventory on Yahoos.
When SEOs disagree with Googlers.
Yeah, I was just gonna suggest that one next.
That
Does
could
that
never
happen?
happen.
What,
Nah.
SEOs disagreeing?
I've been seeing people on Twitter talking about having been invited to Google for the first time. They just got jobs there.
Mhm.
And that has to be a tough place to work.
Yeah.
It's going to get tougher,
Yep.
especially as people decide to work from home and they get their pay cut because of it.
Yeah, I thought the example that John was talking about wasn't exactly the best one either. Keyword density. Because if you think about it in the way we were thinking earlier, talking offline, like before the broadcast started, we were talking about the bag of words concept.
Yeah.
Well, keyword density would be kind of there important because it's basically phrase matching. So it does make a sense there. So I would disagree with John that it's unimportant. In the end, it's unimportant if you don't have the co-occurrences and the entity stuff, right? But as a start, it's how I've been writing now is first I try and get enough phrase repeats that I'm going to start with a good initial score, and then I'll round it out with the
Sort of like an information architecture approach.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I've always written like that. I don't know. Seems like the logical way to do it to me.
It works.
Yeah. Because you're basically using what Google gives you, right? And we know for sure, and do it that way. So,
You're building a framework that can be easily followed.
right. Well, however, I was showing somebody else it and they didn't quite pick it up. So it isn't that simple. But I think there's lots of times because of the context in which John answers questions,
Yeah.
he's being pretty precise, and we know this isn't an exact thing. Like, you have to look at all those questions, and is the context the same for it to really apply? Another thing is there was an article or a post on no follow having no value. Well, lots of SEOs, and I've seen it, tell you that, yeah, they do have value. Elsewise, what
Confuse
this
a
guy
lot of SEOs.
well, I actually saw it in the flesh where
Yeah.
a guy that was in the dojo did a lot of his heavy lifting using places that would be no follow. And he was the one who told me definitely there's some value in it. Now, when he talks about I'm going to build some links, we're talking in the hundreds of thousands.
Yeah.
But, to say they have no value, well, they have some value. And I've never believed from day one that they had no value. I think
It
maybe
depends.
on that specific link, there isn't a value. But when they index that link from somewhere else and then see that they've got all these no followed links, they think, okay.
Well, it's
Well, and I
the
think-
whole hint versus directive thing going on too, right?
Yeah.
I also think that there's a possibility that if you look at a website and every single link is automatically no follow, then that no follow has less meaning as far as Google's concerned, because they haven't applied the no follow judiciously to specific links. They've just blanketed every single link with a no follow.
Right.
Therefore, their no follow really isn't very good. Just like
Well,
anything
also
else.
there's no follow cause webmasters to act unnaturally.
Right.
That's how I kind of look at it, and that's why I thought, okay, anything unnatural, they're going to look at it and they're going to decide what goes into the link graph and how much value it has, etc. They aren't going to let us do it.
On general principle, I have always refused to use it. If a site's worth getting a link, it's worth getting a link, period.
I use it on my sponsor site, like on SEO Pros. I use it on the actual sponsored page where, because I believe you should tell people that they're sponsored.
But you could tell them that it's sponsored link right there in just plain text. This is one of our sponsors. Bam, there's the link.
That's what I used to do, and then on the actual page,
enough to use the text around the link to figure out that the link is sponsored, then that's their problem.
No arguments here. Yeah.
And same with UGC and sponsored. I think they're just hints too. And this is what it is, and you can decide what you want to do with it. That's
I've never allowed UGC links. Period. That's just on blog posts or anywhere. If you drop a link, it's not a link. It might be the text, but there is no actual link there. So you might consider it more of a citation than a link, because I just wouldn't. You can't trust users to not abuse things. So if the word gets out that this website doesn't allow any links at all from user-generated content, you don't have to spend quite so much time policing it, because people just don't go there. They don't
remember the lists you used to see offered for.
I have no idea what Angela's list was all about.
Well, yeah, but people were selling lists of blogs that allowed links, blogs that allowed followed links, and that some of those folks put me pretty good
those
bank.
lists were often wrong.
Yeah,
they were rarely up to date, and almost always caused the website to change how they do things.
Yeah.
Because they would have this week's 100 best blogs to get a post on or a link on, and within an hour of that email going out, that website's been hit with 10,000 new users trying to get a link. Yeah, pass.
See, when I do outreach, I don't even attempt to put a link in the article to my website, because that's just like saying, here I am, come and shoot me, because I'm not doing it the way you want. But they probably have no problem with author, in your author bio, seeing a link.
We've had creative content campaigns where we've used proprietary data from clients to build things like interactive maps. And those have drawn traffic like crazy and links, especially the wedding sites.
Yeah.
But where do people get engaged? You go to a marriage magazine like The Knot, and it just devours links from sites like that.
I ran a jewelry / wedding website for almost 10 years. Outside of the jewelry store, it was primarily a forum and article site, and it got linked all the freaking time because good content, and it's a very niche market, and it just flat worked. I was happy to sell that website.
It keep you too busy?
Not that it kept me too busy. It just
Good money.
it was a niche that I was ready to get out of when the right guy came along and said, "Here, let me give you some cash for that." And I'm like, "Well, thank you very much." And,
So being at the right place at the right time.
yeah. Let me take that heavy bundle of cash off your hands, you poor son of a bitch.
And I think it took him less than a year to tank it because the first thing he did was stick AdSense all over it.
Mm.
Oh.
I'm sure he made his money back, but it wasn't.
Pennies at a time.
Yeah. And we sold links on that website straight up. I had a jewelry store directory attached to it. And we put jewelry stores in the directory based on location. And then if you wanted to be listed first in your state, give me a little cheddar. We'll go ahead and put you at the top of the list.
Had a car dealership site that was sort of like that.
Mm-hmm.
That worked really well.
Some of those car sites make it money hand over fist. Every single dealer has to pay them to have their inventory listed.
Mm-hmm.
Big money.
Yeah, real big money.
Dave and I worked with Auto Trader for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I bet the folks that own Dealer Inspire probably make a bundle every month too.
Mm-hmm.
Quite often, though, with automobiles, the new car manufacturers kind of tell them what they have to do and where they can do it.
Mm-hmm. So Terry, I saw that John Mueller was giving advice on how to build up DA on the site.
Oh yeah. It wasn't actually DA. It was basically he was telling the good things to do when you're building a website. I don't even think the word authority come out of his mouth.
So they're good things to do when you build a website.
Yeah, lots of them. But he I think was just that he was also giving people alternative things that they could use instead of domain authority to put a value on something.
Bring back the green bar.
Almost anything.
Almost anything. Yeah, he suggested some other metrics. I didn't write them down. I figured if people were interested, they'd go look themselves. I just thought it was funny that he was talking about that at all.
Yeah.
No. I generally don't like the word moths to ever come out of my mouth.
So there's a new use for mum.
Yeah, that was kind of interesting. The two different types of searches that they were using mum and Bert for.
Bert, yeah.
I'm just trying to find my notes on it now.
Yeah. Multimodal model.
Yeah. Mum was finding
Personal crisis sites.
Personal crisis.
Yeah, was finding personal crisis. So I tried to think of why Mum would work better for that than Bert would. And Bert is better at doing intent, right? And Mum is for some.
Mum covers a really wide range. They do 75 languages simultaneously.
Mm.
And Bert is entity extraction and intent of the query, which is why it was used for like the people who were giving it symptoms and stuff like that, to determine, do these people actually need a hotline because they're going to opt themselves. which I thought that was pretty cool to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And it shows how smart their technology is getting, because I don't think they'd be doing that, because that would probably open up a lot of litigation, I would think, if they weren't right, if they weren't very close to the right answers when they did that.
But it says Google said that BERT helped reduce unexpected shocking results by 30%. What is an unexpected shocking result? Give me
Your cow has 5 legs.
say that again.
Your cow has 5 legs.
Oh, okay. All right.
You have 2 heads. Oh, that was a thing that Google has said that no follow is not a dampening factor. I don't quite get that.
What's it supposed to be dampening?
Well, links that are using it, but apparently they don't even follow the links, so they don't know what's there.
Or did they mean that if a site has too many no follows links?
No, it's basically that they just don't follow it. And
Unless they choose to.
pardon me?
Unless they choose to.
No, he explicitly said, nope, they don't follow it. But that doesn't mean that they don't discover that URL another way.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Your browser history when you use Chrome.
Yeah. Or, they find another link to your site on another site, or to that site on another site. And that's where I think they say, oh, okay, that one was no follow, but this one is a followed link, right? And, maybe we should count something for that no follow.
Oh,
So maybe we should crawl competitors' websites where they've no followed a bunch of stuff and then create a bunch of followed links to send Google to those pages anyway.
Right.
Oh.
no.
Sounds like a lot of work for very.
Yeah, it does.
There are probably people who would do it.
Well, I mean, yeah, we know people who they get bored. It's like, here, let's mess with somebody.
Yeah.
All these pages I don't want in the index are in the index. Why? Well, look at these 10,000 links pointing to that page.
I think those kind of things you have to really think through and wonder where it's coming from.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought it was good that he said, yeah, we don't follow it at all, so it's not a dampening factor.
Right. Unless you mean by dampening, you mean goes clear to zero.
Or reduces the value of that, right? But if there's no value, you can't dampen it. So I think that's the point they're making. That they don't follow the links, so they can't dampen it. Not to say that they can't dampen it later when they do find a link to it. Like, again, that's what's the full story? We don't know. And you always kind of have to consider, what I don't know with what I know, or what you know.
I was looking at your note about the Google products and in-store product availability options now.
Yeah, that looked kind of interesting because I found the traffic that goes to those listings
Yeah.
Mhm.
doesn't convert very well. Doesn't even convert really to a site visit.
Because it's the product listing on the listing. It's not on the site.
But it's informing search in your search results.
Right. And I think that's how some now they actually put this is in stock and this is the price of it on some items. And I'm wondering if that isn't where they get the information.
Mm.
Yeah.
And
Well, one of the patents I came across talked about them using terms like accessories for things like iPhones.
right.
So you search for an iPhone accessory, and they'll show you a bunch of pages about chargers and bands and stuff like that, but not iPhones. So you're using the classifications from the product feeds to help search get better.
Well, I also thought that like when I looked at the traffic coming from the local listings where they've gone and looked at your page,
Yeah.
they don't often go to the website. They don't click through to the website. They see what they want to see there's not much there and go back. Now they'll see products and stuff, and I think that'll get more click throughs to the website.
But you're right. Yeah.
So that's where, but I do, now that I think about, consider that you're giving them product information that they're putting into the cert. I wondered how they were doing that, and this seems like the easiest way to do that.
It's from the web.
It seems like an XML sitemap or a alternative way of getting information to the search engine faster.
Yeah. Well, those prices and availability might also be coming from the product feeds themselves, correct?
Right. Absolutely.
Right. Didn't think of that one either, so now got two new.
It's Google using redundant systems, additional information that fills in gaps so they do less work. Sort of like Schema does.
Right. Oh, they might also pull that information out of Schema on product Schema on the website too.
Right, they can.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if that was supported in Schema for products.
Like I was saying, redundant information.
Right. But that's the way they like it. I think the more places they can verify that kind of information, the more confident they are in putting it in a cert.
And the more consistent it might be, the better they feel about it.
Right. But I can't imagine putting 1,000 products into your listing.
You sort of do that. You sort of do that programmatically, don't you? It's built into your CMS.
It's some of them. I've seen some really poorly done product schemas in templates and CMSs.
Yeah. The schema I've seen from WordPress themes and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, not something I'd implement. Other than maybe the people that we interviewed, their tool looked really good. What was the name?
From Canada. Schema
Yeah.
app. Schema app.
Schema app, right?
Yeah.
It did a pretty good job. but they're pretty knowledgeable. You got to wonder about the people developing plugins.
Yeah, when your working job title is ontologist, you know something.
Yeah. I think he went to university to study that kind of stuff too.
I think he did.
Yeah. Oh, right, because they both went to Guelph here, and that's a big computer school and computer science courses in there. Friend of my brother's went there, and Microsoft's took a lot of their students.
Some good Canadian schools for math, aren't there?
For computer science,
places like Waterloo.
yeah, there's Guelph and there's Waterloo, which is Guelph, Waterloo are basically the same city. Then there's U of T, the first HTML that I saw on a university site was U of T. And one of the professors there was part of the Hilltop study. Which was implemented during the Florida update.
Bharat, yeah. Bharat Krishna.
Nope, he's an English guy from the U of T.
Bharat was Matt Cutts, one of his roommates at Google in the early days. He was the guy who was the founder of Google News.
Mm.
Yeah, sadly, you start looking at patents and papers and start learning who the people are behind those things.
The person from the University of Toronto was George A. Mihaila. Got a bunch of fancy things over the A's, so I don't know how to pronounce it. But he is from the U of T. He was with Krishna Bharat. Just in case you were doubting my memory there, though.
No, not doubting. I know there's some really brilliant folks from Canada who got into math and then got into Google, like Jeffrey Hinton.
Mm.
Yeah, U of T was part of the original DARPANet as well.
That was a smart program, DARPA. So get all those teams working together, building stuff.
Well, it was kind of like the beginning of the internet, too. The initial infrastructure for it, anyways.
Yeah.
I had a friend who had that domain for a while.
Which domain's that?
Oh, I forget what it was, but it had DARPA, and he used to get all kinds of
Yeah.
traffic looking there, nothing there on it. He was writing mainly about JavaScript programming.
Dive into Mark. No, it wasn't
He
him.
was pretty good. Yeah, we developed a thing for right when CSS first came out, so you could mouse over a property and it'd give you all the details of a whole subdivision, every property on it. That was lots of work, lots of fun.
So it's sort of a design implementation, developer implementation of design. Yeah,
Yeah.
like a
Yeah, that was I'm not sure that divs were available yet.
Right, but I was talking about Divi, the program for WordPress.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The drop
right.
and drag. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, this didn't drag stuff. Just when you moused over it, gave you all the details on a property, whether it's sold.
It was pre-drag days.
Yeah, it was before you could do that kind of stuff. I mean, it was revolutionary what we were doing. I'd never seen it before.
I remember when we first figured out how to make a single mouse click make multiple frames do things. When we were doing frames websites way back in the 90s. It's like
I was working with Publisher.
Ooh, Publisher. I use that once and I still get shaky when I see someone.
It's understood.
Very bad memories.
I used it once. Yeah.
I
It's
think
one of those things you buy and try and throw away.
was that a Microsoft product?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it precluded the front page.
It was sort of their working concept. We
Yeah.
can do this. Yeah.
It was the start, but when they brought out front page, it was a lot better than Publisher. Now, that would be how I got on Publisher. My brother, he does only Microsoft products, probably said, here, try this.
Be our guinea pig. Yeah.
Yeah, he's still mad that I won't use any of their products for building websites. I use front page mainly because of the extensions. You know, it's a clean way to do includes that. You know, the only other alternative was SHTML. Was that what it was, Steve? I used to call it shitmo page.
I don't know. We were using so many different programming languages back then when Mason first came out and PHP first came out, and it was like, look at all these cool things we can do now, and then we got a little sidetracked.
I never bothered with PHP at first. I didn't really go to it until Microsoft originally said that when they released C# that they were going to drop support for ASP. As soon as I saw that, I said, well, time to move on. If they're going to drop a programming language like that midstream, that's no good. But it turns out they changed their mind and they still support ASP Classic for that matter. and VB script, which I thought was really awesome.
Yeah, VB script. My wife still uses it in Excel.
Oh, it's super easy to work with. And I like it because you actually have to name the variant so you don't get the baloney you get in PHP where, the number 6 spelled out still means 6. To me, that never made any sense. I like that you have to put a variant on your variables so they know how to use them correctly. I thought it was kind of interesting, Bill, that they've added audio to the knowledge panels. I guess that would be for accessibility reasons, possibly, eh?
I really haven't run across that in real life yet.
Oh,
I
okay.
haven't run across it either. So
Neither have I.
is it mainly for foreign for a native speaker of a foreign language to read to them in their language? Is that what it's for?
The closest I've come is pronunciation guides.
But wouldn't they be able to pick up if they were using a browser that was for impaired people?
Assistive technology?
Yeah.
Possibly, yeah.
And then the audio, they might, if for the assistive technology.
Some browsers were really good at audio to begin with, like Opera.
Yeah, on my PC, I can get the page to talk to me if I press the right button. It reads the page to you rather than you reading the page.
Is that like a setting that you have, or does it do that automatically? I mean, you have to make a choice, right? I want to read this, or I want you to read it to me.
Yeah, it's a choice.
Yeah, I tried getting Dragon Natural Speaking so it could do that. It never worked out.
With
Yeah,
Dragon?
I didn't care for it. I have heard though that Cortana's pretty good at writing what you're saying and gets pretty good.
Mm.
Of course, I think now almost any program doing that with natural language processing at the state it is, it's got to be much better than it was in the past.
Yeah, I think it's much better than like even 3 years ago.
I still get a laugh at the patents that talk about human to computer dialogue, and they often talk about how computers have to make up for the poor humans because the computer and the human are having a conversation, and the human keeps on changing topics, and the computer
That's what we do.
is talking to itself saying, "Are we on this topic still? Are we on this topic still?"
So I happen to live with a significant other where I have to actually explicitly state I'm changing the topic. Otherwise, she spends the next 5 minutes wondering what the hell I'm talking about.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
One of the things I love about talking with my daughter is we can cover 10 subjects in 4 minutes.
Yeah. My daughter's like that as well. We've got where our brains are wired to connect very weird data points,
Yep.
and it makes complete sense to us. And she never misses a beat when I'm hopping through topics, and she's just keeping right up with me. And usually, most everybody else is giving us a blank stare, like, "What are you talking about?" And it made sense to us.
I had long ago, I had a birthday twin. He was born on the same day, on the same year. And we used to get together and talk, and we could talk like that. And people would go, what? How do you?
How did you get the goats? Yeah. All topics lead to goats.
Yeah.
Has anybody been working with any review sites?
No.
No.
Not anymore.
Okay.
Why do you ask, Terry?
Oh, because they're saying that the update that they did is starting to really knock things around a bit now. It didn't at first, which that's the way they usually work. Don't do a lot at first. At the end, it all happens.
Mm.
But to me,
These are the good people from Google. Who's saying that?
that was Barry. SEO Roundtable was saying that he didn't at first hear a lot of talk about people having a problem with it, but in the last few week or so, it's picked up some. So, oh no, I think they've been on the review thing since the medic alert, because I saw or the medic update, right?
Yeah.
They started hitting reviews on e-commerce sites where the person hadn't bought the product, was just doing a review, and they couldn't say whether they own the product or not.
Mm.
I think that's the big deal now with Google is they want experts that have actually had the product, used the product, and used it extensively, not someone who just opened it up, looked at it, and wrote a review.
So you want some type of proof of ownership.
Proof of ownership, and I think expertise as well. Like, for instance, an SEO reviewing an SEO tool, he brings expertise that someone who's not in SEO doesn't pick up from the tool. So I think that's what they're looking for too. But that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, I believe that reviews are being abused for a long time.
I've lived in places where reviews were really sparse. So even having reviews in some cases makes a difference.
Ken. But nowadays you want those people to have purchased the product.
Yeah.
And that's what it seemed like to me when I was looking at these. If you had reviews on your site, they were all internal, and you didn't have whether they bought or, purchased, they were the ones getting hit. The ones that were getting the boost had a purchaser. In other words, they knew the person had purchased the product from them, etc. So that shows that at least they own the product and are writing on some kind of experience with it.
For a little while, Google was putting buttons that you could choose based on your rating. And if you rated like a 5, you would have a certain number of buttons that you can choose to include in your review. And there were topics related to a review that showed that there's more in-depth thinking about what was in the review.
Was that like the ratings that you can put on your site, Bill?
When you do a review with ratings, yeah.
Okay. And those they seem to really how do I say it? They seem to really favor third party reviews where that was the case, where it was a rating and it was accumulated from several places.
Those
Like,
reviews covered more information.
right. And from different sources. Like there are places where you can, that are recommended by Google, correct, for reviews.
Yeah.
And those seem to be the ones that you want to use.
So isn't that what they do with Google? Google, when you leave a review for a business on Google, and then Google can tell other people, help other people discover this business. Do they have accessibility? Is there a parking lot? None of the stuff was included in your review. But
When
Google
extra
takes it a step
badges.
farther with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did a review for a lawyer where I basically said they were terrible. It gets 100 views a week or more.
Really?
Yeah. And that business actually called me up and said, "Hey, can you take that down?" And I said, "No chance. Not going to happen." It's the only review
Is the
I've
lawyer
ever.
still terrible?
Huh?
Is the lawyer still terrible?
Oh God!
Oh, that's one. I don't know. I
I
just
just told the truth. Like, doesn't respond to emails, doesn't respond to phone calls, and we're not very good.
not very good. Yeah.
And the only reason I did it was because I didn't want other people to go there.
So it
I
solved
don't
its,
know how Google.
it followed its purpose. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how Google decides. Like I got a message from Google yesterday or early this morning or sometime. 70,000 people have viewed your photo. And I'm like, and I was like, okay. And I went to look at the photo, and it was a photo of a cup of coffee. It was a photo of a cup of coffee from a coffee shop. And I'm like, 70,000 people have
There
looked.
are there are clever ways of doing photos for businesses, like you do a photo that's going to be the cover photo in the Google Maps edition for your business. It'll get lots of views. Or you walk inside of a store and you take a photograph of the inside of the cash registers
It
as
could
opposed to the outside of the store.
It could be like me too. This morning I was looking for an image for a post. I must
Yeah.
have looked at 100 images in image search on that. So I imagine if someone put coffee cup.
I guess so. I don't know. I just thought it was hysterical.
Some of my pictures that have gotten the most views, other than the one of a collapsed bridge at a state park that's got like 2.5 million views, have been like photos of the hours of operation on the door. As I'm walking in, it's like, boop, there you go. There's their hours. Same thing with menus at restaurants. I'll just take a quick picture of the menu and post it. And those types of photos get crap tons of views.
Yeah, because they're helpful.
Yeah.
Well, if you want the menu before you go to the restaurant, that's probably the only way you can. Well, I think a lot more menus are online than were a few years ago.
Fewer than you would think, though. I mean,
but it's
amazing.
easier if you're just spot checking a restaurant and somebody has a photo of the menu. That's a lot easier than going to their website, searching for the menu page,
and then
scrolling
downloading
down, is
PDF.
it breakfast, lunch, or dinner menu, all that stuff.
Yeah, that's usually the providers like DoorDash and that, they'll have menus too, but they're hard to find.
Yeah.
Not easily found. And usually way out of date.
Yeah.
Yeah, I happened to be at a state park out here
And
after a big storm, and their bridge that goes clear across the lake had
Mhm.
just mangled. It was, they put up a sign that says, bridge closed, and it's like, well, the bridge doesn't start for another 80 yards into the lake, so I'm pretty sure.
Whoa.
And that's the picture that has gotten like 2.5 million views, and it's like, okay, sure, I'll take it. I like the points.
Well, we're at the top of the hour, so we're going to call it a day. Thank you for joining us. It's good to talk to all of you. Take care. Bye now. Thanks.
Bye,
A
everybody.
day.
Have a good one.